Chapter 271 Space Storm Body Tempering. The Crimson Crow Crown Prince threw out the trial token as if he was teasing a dog. Two-legged beast, this Crown Prince will reward you. You're forcing me to kill you sooner. Sanchi's expression was indifferent as he raised his hand. Sharpness erupted as dense sword chi erupted, gathering from all directions like a tide. He attacked extremely quickly. The Crimson Crow Crown Prince had just given up and the power of teleportation had yet to completely descend. He could only withstand Sanchi's attack. HMPH. The Crimson Crow Crown Prince's protective demon fire shattered and disappear under the power of teleportation, leaving behind bloodstained feathers. Sanchi frowned. He released his divine consciousness and took the falling token. If not for the Mystic Realm teleportation, you would have been beaten to death and eaten by me. As he spoke coldly, Sanchi looked around and realized that he was in a desolate area. There were no plants or earth here, only emptiness. What? Sanchi hurriedly turned around and saw a mystic realm a few kilometers away. There were plants and earth inside. There was a white light at the spot where the two touched. There were runes that contained a mysterious power. Now, he was in this border area. He could clearly see dense runes forming an array formation, isolating him from the outside world. I actually almost made it out of the mystic realm. Is that the void outside the mystic realm? Sanchi looked forward again, and a storm-like area appeared. An obvious spatial power twisted violently here, forming black cracks. Between the cracks, the whizzing cold storm seemed to be endless. The destructive power was right in front of him. Although there was still some distance, it still made him instinctively break out in cold sweat. No wonder that guy stopped running. If he continues to run, the power of the mystic realm won't be able to teleport him away. Hell Dive has swept up by the spatial storm. Sanchi was deep in thought. This mystic realm should be deep in space. It had been established by an ancient mighty figure. Outside the mystic realm was the depths of the chaotic space. This place is dangerous for others, but for me. A mysterious smile appeared on his face. Then, he continued forward and arrived at the outermost part of the mystic realm. The light formed a membrane to block the destructive power outside. Various runes kept circulating in it, making him dizzy. He reached out to touch it, but the runes seemed to be transparent. With a circle of ripples, his hand passed through it. Space fluctuated violently. It was as if Sanchi had passed through a special layer of water. Then, his vision darkened and he arrived at a dark place. He suddenly felt pain. The space storm that contained destructive power filled his surroundings. Just a portion of it shattered his protective will-o-wisp pendant, leaving shallow marks on his muscles and bones that were comparable to Dharma treasures. Sanchi was alarmed. The strength of his body was definitely comparable to top-notch Dharma treasures. It could even be comparable to numinous artifacts. Ordinary nascent souls might not even have his powerful body. Yet a body of this level was actually so fragile in front of the spatial storm. No wonder it was even difficult for soul transformation cultivators to pass through this space to the upper realm. Other than his physical body, his thoughts could not go far. Compared to his physical body, his spiritual consciousness was even weaker. The spatial storm is so powerful. It's simply tailor-made for me. On second thought, Sanchi was even happier. The current spatial storm could definitely kill him many times. I was crushed to death by the spatial power during the teleportation at the Yao Moon Palace last time. Now, I can die until this spatial storm can't hurt me anymore. Sanchi took off all his things, including his clothes, tacked them up and threw them back into the mystic realm. This spatial storm was very terrifying. Even numinous artifacts would be damaged if they stayed in it for too long. He could not bear to part with it. After doing this, Sanchi leaped and charged into the depths of the spatial storm. Kai, 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 kai. His body emitted a sizzling sound as it was cut by the storm. It was like a knife rubbing against steel. In the blink of an eye, Sanchi's body was covered in blood. Sanchi gritted his teeth and circulated his nomological powers. He activated his sword body and divine body. Golden light enveloped him as sword chi protected his body. Only then did he barely withstand the spatial storm. The deeper I go, the more dangerous the place will be. Only then will I die faster. Sanchi took a step forward and passed through the spatial storm, continuing to advance deeper. The protective sword and will-o-wisp around his body were clearly being shaved off layer by layer. The spatial storm outside was so terrifying that even a nascent soul cultivator wouldn't be able to last long. In such a place that everyone avoid, Sanshi was moving in the opposite direction. At this moment, the power of space changed, and an even more terrifying storm swept over. Crack, with just the initial contact, the protective will-o-wisp around his body that was like a golden bell shattered. The sword aura could not withstand the terrifying destructive power and was blown away like smoke. Under the storm, Sanshi grunted and quickly turned into a bloody mist in the storm, leaving only the golden skeleton that had not been immediately destroyed. When his body was destroyed, Sanshi's soul was shattered as well. He died very thoroughly. Then, his bones were also reduced to dust by the spatial storm. You have been killed by the spatial storm. Your body and soul have been destroyed. The reward is super doubled. Physique plus 12,000. You have absorbed strength from death and obtained 40 freedom attribute points. This was the first time Sanshi had been killed by his spatial storm. Unsurprisingly, he had received a generous reward. It had been a long time since he received such a reward. The last time was when he was killed by the evil god projection. That's great. Even if there are only rewards for the first 10 times, I can still obtain a large number of attribute points. Sanshi couldn't help but be grateful to the Crown Prince of the Crimson Crow race. If he hadn't come here by accident, he wouldn't have been able to come into contact with the spatial storms. After all, his current strength could barely affect space. He was still far from breaking through space, let alone entering the depths of space to come into contact with spatial storms. In the outside world, 3 seconds after Sanshi was wiped out by the storm, a brand new him appeared. The surrounding storm was affected and swept over again. Wanting to erase this foreign object that didn't belong here, Sanshi sealed the pain and gave up resisting. He would die peacefully. Sanshi did not care much about the second drop in rewards. As long as he could farm a large number of deaths here, he was very satisfied. The spatial storm here could easily kill even nascent soul cultivators. The upper limit of destruction was very high. Probably only soul transformation cultivators could protect themselves here. No matter how strong Sanshi's foundation was, it was still not enough, especially since he did not take the initiative to defend. Basically, he would die very quickly after reviving. After 10 times, there were no more rewards from the system. He could only farm the number of deaths to stack the basic rewards. His golden divine body could be improved through basic rewards. One step further and he would reach the top grade. It would be child's play for him to receive numinous artifacts with his bare hands. His physique had increased greatly, and his speed of destruction of the spatial storm had also decreased greatly. At this moment, if he took the initiative to defend, it would definitely not be a problem for him to last for a period of time in the spatial storm before his nomological power was exhausted. While Sanshi was court death, the dense runes on the side of the mystic realm lit up brightly. They suddenly gathered somewhere and condensed into a figure that looked into the depths of the void. Even the spatial storm can't kill him. What secrets does this kid have? He even seems to be using the spatial storm to temper his body and increase his strength.